In the movie Dead Poet Society, actor Robin Williams portrays a poetry teacher, Mr. Keating, at an all-boys high school. One day during class, he said to all of them, "Everyone huddle up, huddle up." And they gathered around him. And Mr. Keating got on a knee and he said, "The human race is filled with passion. Law, business, medicine, engineering, these are noble pursuits necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, this is what we stay alive for. And Christianity shows us that this passion, the longing for love, the seeking the beautiful, is at the core of what it means to be human." You know that longing I'm talking about? Have you ever felt it? Or you strive with every part of your being for an achievement, a relationship, maybe money, love, a feeling that will satisfy you completely. But once you get it, it seems like it just falls through your hands, making you think, is there something more than what this earth can provide? Isn't that what the song Never Enough in the movie The Greatest Showman is all about? How we can be the center of the stage in the world, hold silver and gold, but it will just still never be enough. I don't know about you, but this deep desire for love, intimacy, and fulfillment, it all began with me in second grade when I was sitting next to Maggie. My heart was pounding. Something in my heart was awakened to beauty, even as I was 7 years old. So in class, she was crisscross applesauce, leaning back with her hands, and I was sitting next to her on the right. My heart started beating faster and faster. I was nervous, sweaty palms, and I had an idea in my mind. I want to hold her hand. So what did I do? I grabbed her right hand and she started to smile. Well, my best friend Braden was sitting on the other side of Maggie, on the left side, and he also had a small crush on her. What did he do? Yes, he grabbed her left hand. I was holding her right, Braden was holding her left, and yes, Maggie was smiling. Well, a few moments later, we went off to library class, and Braden ran up to me, Brendan, you won't believe it." I was like, whoa, slow down, dude. Like, what's up? He said, "Dude, I just kissed her." It's like, "No, you didn't. You what? Where'd you kiss her? Did you kiss her on the lips, the cheeks?" And he said, "Oh, no. I kissed her right on the back." I was like, "All right, weirdo, you can run off now." So he kind of scurried off. A few moments later, he came back to me. He said, Brendan, you won't believe it." I'm like, "What, dude? What you kissed her this time? On the elbow, on the foot?" He's like, "No, I did kiss her on the cheek." And my eyes widened. And as any good friend would say, prove it. So we walked over to all of the other classmates who were sitting down on the floor, now listening to the librarian read a book to us. Maggie was crisscross applesauce. Braden was on the left side of her and I was on the right. And I look over and I see Braden kiss her on the cheek. So what do? I kiss her on the right side. And for about, no joke, 15 minutes, we are going back and forth, left cheek, right cheek. And Maggie, she was smiling and we were smiling. Something was awakened in our hearts. And we got done with library class and Braden and I had to go check out some books. And we went over to the librarian and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you two. You had a great library class, didn't you?" And we were kind of giggling and yep, we did. And we ran off. Now, we're 7 years old, there's innocence to it, but what was that thing that awakened in my heart as a 7-year-old to the beauty of this girl? What was that thing I felt in my bones, in my body, in my soul for joy? Well, it wasn't until I was 21 years old that I learned what this thing, this longing is and why God created us humans this way. I accepted an internship in the summer of 2017 in Pennsylvania with the Theology of the Body Institute with president and teacher, Dr. Christopher West. At the Theology of the Body Institute, they offer these 5-day courses teaching Pope John Paul II's Theology of the Body, which are basically talks the Pope delivered to the world from 1979 to 1984 on what it means to be human and how we're called to live that will bring about true happiness. Some of the biggest questions we could ask. And during this first course I attended, on the very first day, Christopher West was talking about this longing in our bones that everyone feels, this restlessness for everlasting joy, impeccable beauty, romantic love, a fulfillment that lasts forever. And he quoted C.S. Lewis, who says, "The human heart does not want merely to see beauty, though God knows that is bounty enough. Think about a sunset that warms your heart, or the beach with the water crashing at shore, tickling your toes, or seeing presents under the glowing Christmas tree." C.S. Lewis says, when we have an encounter with beauty, we don't want to just see it. We want something else which can hardly be put into words. To be united with the beauty we see, to pass into it, to receive it into ourselves, to bathe in it, to become a part of it. Then Christopher West says, let's dream for a second. Let's dream. What if ultimate beauty, capital B beauty, the source of all beautiful things in creation, what if the source of beauty somehow entered creation and came down and became food and drink, where we could literally eat and drink infinite beauty? Wouldn't that be flippin' awesome if that was real? And I broke down crying because for the first time in my life, I realized that I thirst for God, who alone can satisfy me completely, who takes bread and says, "Take and eat, this is my body given up for you." He takes wine and he says, "Drink, this is my blood poured out for you." God satisfies the human heart, not my girlfriend, not Maggie in second grade, not my fraternity parties back in college, not money or fame, but only God. And I learned that the gospel, the good news, is this: we are hungry human beings for beauty, to behold beauty and consume it and to radiate it to the world. And God's plan is to quench that desire in us by feeding us with his very life, infinite beauty. That's incredible. And Pope John Paul II taught me in his Theology of the Body that thing that we feel in our bones for love and intimacy, it has a name. And it's a Greek word, eros, which isn't simply love of desire, but he says it implies the upward impulse of the human spirit towards what is true, good, and beautiful. Eros, that restlessness in the human heart, beats and pulsates what is most deeply human in us. Eros can be described as the supernatural longing and desire in us to be united to the infinite. There's just one problem. Sometimes we misdirect Eros, this longing for the infinite, and we aim it towards finite pleasures like money, sex, partying, food, and we feel empty and restless and frustrated and confused at times. What are we truly made for that will satisfy the human heart? What is the love we are created for that gives us true peace in this world? Well, one of my favorite movies, Good Will Hunting, gives us a little hint into the love we really want and shows that in order to experience this love, we got to take down the protective walls from our hearts. We got to be real. We got to be honest with ourselves. So in the movie Good Will Hunting, the main character in the movie is Will Hunting. He's a 20-year-old guy from Boston. He literally has a photographic memory. I mean, he's wicked smart. And on the outside, he looks like he's a secure, confident man. Well, we find out in the movie that Will was abandoned. He grew up in a foster care home and was beaten with a wrench by his foster father. Understandably, Will put up defensive walls around his heart, not allowing anyone come near to his innermost self. Because of his wounds of abandonment, he became terrified of commitment. And he fought with his friends, and he ended up beating up someone on a basketball court, and he got in trouble. So Will's punishment was he's got to go to counseling. So during his first counseling session, Will, being the cocky and careless kid he is, he starts lighting up a cigarette, and he's huffing and puffing, and he walks over to the painting the counselor Sean drew. The painting depicts a man rowing in a boat alone during a storm at sea, and Will projects the painting into Sean's life, and he begins to tear him apart verbally, saying, "You've ever heard of that saying, Sean, any port in a storm? Yeah, maybe that's you. Maybe you're in the middle of a storm right now. Sky's falling on your head, the waves are crashing all over you, the oars are about to snap. Man, you're peeing your pants, you're crying for the harbors. Maybe you had to get out, and that's why you became a psychologist. And Sean said, yeah, so let me just do my work then. He's like, or maybe you married the wrong woman. He's like, you better shut your mouth. He's like, ooh, whoa. That's it, isn't it? You married the wrong woman. What, she leave you for another man? Sean takes off his glasses, grabs Will by the throat and says, if you ever talk about my wife like that again, I will end you. You got that, Chief? I will end you. Time's up after that counseling session. A couple days later, Sean and Will are sitting on a bench overlooking a botanical garden on a fall day. And Sean says to Will, thought about what you said to me the other day about my painting. Man, I stayed up half the night thinking about it. But hey, something occurred to me. I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. Haven't thought about you since. You know what occurred to me? He's like, what? It's like, man, you're just a kid. You don't have the faintest idea of what you're talking about. He's like, why, thank you very much. He's like, let me ask you some questions. If I asked you about women, you'd just probably give me a list of your personal favorites. But you've never woken up next to a woman and felt truly happy. If I asked you about love, you just quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable, known someone who could level you with her eyes, feeling like God put an angel on earth just for you. You wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel, to have that love for her be there forever, through anything, through cancer. You wouldn't know what it's like sleeping, sitting up in a hospital room for 2 months, holding her hand, because the doctors can see in your eyes the term visiting hours don't apply to you. Man, you don't know about real loss. That only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much. Will was frozen. He had no idea what to say because he was called out. He was called out on the love that he's truly made for. Any man would say, yeah, I want to learn how to love like that. And I bet every woman would say, I want a man who would love me like that. We are made for something more. We are made for a deeper love. And Pope John Paul II, in his Theology of the Body, I believe is truly an invitation to the whole world, to you, to me, to go on a grand adventure of loving heroically. Only God's love and participating in God's plan for love will truly satisfy us. So ask yourself this: if God is the only one that can truly satisfy you and I, well, then why did he make us male and female with such strong desires for intimacy? What's God's plan for love between men and women, and how do we begin to live according to the Creator's plan? For now, know this: the desires you experience in your body and soul for love and intimacy is fundamentally good. It's fundamentally good. And you are made for more.